They actually beat Union Berlin 5-1. They beat Sporting Lisbon 4-0. They beat Braga by 4-1. They beat Braga again. They beat Cologne 5-1. So there's a lot of heavy scoring with this tactic. There's Werder Bremen as well. They beat Werder Bremen 4-1. They actually beat Bayern in the final of the DFB Pokal. If you're new to Football Manager, you're probably new to this powerful tactic. The modern target man is a goal-scoring machine created by Vujovic over the years for Football Manager. And this year, I was privileged to get the FM24 version from the legend himself. We're buddies on Discord. So he sent me the tactic and the game-breaking results with an elite side like Manchester City. He also sent some instructions for certain match scenarios, so I'll share that later with you in this video. So with Man City, Vujovic actually scored over 100 points in the league and Highland scoring 46 league goals. They also won other cup competitions. Of course, Man City won the Premier League, they won the Champions League against PSG, scoring the 1 goal in a 4-3 thriller after extra time. They won 4-3. They also won the Super Cup a lot earlier, and then they got knocked out by Aston Villa in the FA Cup 4th round, which is strange really. They went to the final of the Carabao Cup, but they lost, and they also won the Community Shield. While Highland had 46 goals, Kevin De Bruyne actually scored 20 goals. Edison had the most clean sheets with 18, and De Bruyne, along with his 20 goals, had 18 assists. Kyle Walker is in there as well with 15 assists, and Sergio Gomez, I don't even know who that is. He has 13 goals, or 13 assists, sorry. He's a centre-back, isn't he? In the entire league, Man City only lost twice, and then they drew one game and won 35, which is insane really, because I've managed Man City before, and even though you're using a top team in Football Manager, it's still very difficult to get unparalleled results like this, like unrivaled results. So it's quite a very good tactic, but that's for Manchester City. They're an elite team, so how will this tactic perform with a normal team of Football Manager, a team that is not as strong as Manchester City? I did go on to test it with other teams, and the teams that I tested it out with were RB Leipzig, Highland in the Danish Premier League, and then Go Ahead Eagles and AZ in the Dutch Eredivisie. So these are teams that are somewhat normal in Football Manager, teams that you probably want to pick up and take them to glory or something like that. We'll look at their results much later after the tactic breakdown, because I don't really want to waste your time a lot more. We're going to look at the tactic and try to break it down. If you're on console, you can just follow along with the video and try to recreate the tactic for yourself. But if you're on PC, you have the added advantage of downloading the tactic in the link attached in the description down below. I will go over all the player instructions and all the team instructions, so you can still recreate the tactic for yourself if you're on PC. Just follow along with the video. He has a flat back four with both wing backs on attack duty and ball playing defenders on defend. The wing back on attack duty playing on the right hand side has been asked to take fewer risks, cross aim at the center. There's a reason why this instruction is here, because we're trying to create chances for the striker. So crossing aim at the center, the player is shooting less, sitting narrower and tackling harder. On the left hand side, he has the same instruction, so aiming for that central area where the advanced forward is going to be, taking fewer risks, cross aim at the center, shoot less often, sit narrower and tackle harder. Same instructions for the wing back on the left. The ball playing defenders on the other hand do have dribble more and tackle harder. Both players have the same instructions, and then when we get to the defensive midfield, the defensive midfielder on the right is a defensive midfielder on support duty. He is only going to shoot less often and tackle harder. The secondo volante is a defensive midfielder on the left hand side, and he has been asked to shoot less often and also tackle harder. So there's a lot of aggression in the tactic, and I do like that, because in FM 2024, your players can be a bit passive if you don't force them to get in the opposition and get stuck in. So it's good to have the tackle harder instruction turned on. Both inside forwards are the players that we have on the flanks. There's an inside forward on support duty. He's also playing more direct passes, shoot less often, roaming from positions, sitting narrower, tackling harder, and marking tighter. Now, both inside forwards on the left and on the right hand side do have the same instructions, so you can just copy them over. The complete forward on support duty is the striker that acts like the playmaker in this side, because I know the complete forward has a lot of freedom to move around. But if you look at the instruction, there's only one that says tackle harder. But then just go all the way down, you're going to see the take more risk instruction, dribble more, move into channels, and then run from position. So the complete forward has that ability to act like sort of a playmaker, especially when he's on support duty. Now for the main man in the tactic is the advanced forward on attack. He's going to be tackling harder a lot. Now I'm assuming that the reason why Man City did so well with this tactic is probably because Kevin De Bruyne played as a complete forward on support. I'm not the one that played as Vujovic, but that's going to be something up for debate. In case you do not have a complete forward in your team, you can try a deep lying forward, but that's not by changing the role. You don't need to change the role in Football Manager. You can just have that player that has the attributes to maybe play as a deep lying forward or a false nine, have them play as a complete forward on attack or on support duty, they can operate in this role and be the one that is creating chances for the advanced forward on attack, which is going to be your finisher. Are you still with me? We're heading into the team instructions now. Now, starting with the mentality is set to balance, but I'm going to explain to you when it goes to attacking and positive much later. Going into in possession instructions now, this is what Vujovic actually goes on to select for the team. The team is focusing the play down the left and on the right hand side, but there's also underlaps. So I'm assuming that this is down to the inside forwards and not just them, the segundo volante and what's the other guy called, the defensive midfielder on support duty. They are going to be getting ahead, getting to the midfield position, so they're going to be pushing up a bit because the segundo volante is on support and the defensive midfielder is also on support. They have that ability to get forward, so the underlap sort of makes sense. They're focusing the play down the left and down the right to create that space for the underlap to actually happen. So that's why you have wing backs on attack duty as well. Playing out of defense also works here, and then there's a shorter passing with much higher tempo. I sort of like this combination in Football Manager. I should do it a lot more often, to be honest. The team is running at defense in this tactic, and if you look at the final third, there isn't any instruction, so you're free to do whatever you want during the game. And I kind of like this when I'm creating a tactic. I like to leave this blank so you can check anything you want during the match and not just having it as a forced instruction for your tactic. In transition, it's counter pressing and counter because you have the numbers up front really. The goalkeeper is distributing quickly. Personally, I don't really like this instruction because I like to control games, but this is not the kind of tactic where you're trying to control games. You're just trying to outscore the opposition. The distributing quickly is quite good. The goalkeeper is rolling it out, but there isn't an instruction as to who he's rolling it out to. So he could choose the centre backs or the full backs. That could actually work. Now, out of possession, there's a high press and a much higher defensive line. So that sort of works well with this tactic. There's a much more often trigger press, and the goalkeeper has been, the players have been instructed to prevent the short goalkeeper distribution. I think this only works when you have a lot of bodies up front. If you have only one striker, it may not really be helpful. But here we have 4, so that's good. Prevent short goalkeeper distribution. The team is also getting stuck in and stepping up a lot more to try and compress the field in the opposition's territory and play in there. Now that the mentality is set to balance, if you need to score a lot more goals in Football Manager using this tactic, you want to switch it to the more attacking variant. So just go on to change the mentality to attacking. That's all you have to do. And then the team is going to go ahead and score a lot more goals or try to create a lot more chances, which may result in you scoring a lot more goals. But be careful because you're going to neglect your defense a lot. But if you want to try and score goals and control games without neglecting your defense a whole lot and taking too many risks, you can go for the positive mentality. This is what Vujovic actually told me is the subtle tweak that you can do to the tactic to make it, more adventurous or also more controlling if you're trying to play in that manner. So those are the 2 changes that you can make. For opposition instructions, he didn't actually include any opposition instruction for me when he was sharing the tactic with me. But if you do need opposition instructions on how to apply them in Football Manager, I did go on to make a video about that. I'm going to attach it also in the description, but you can watch it immediately. There's also a PDF document summary in there that could help you apply position instructions, so you can always refer to that if you need it. You can check out that video and download the PDF down there and go ahead and apply your position instructions on Football Manager. It's really helpful, so just check it out. So we're already here with Dutch Eredivisie, 3rd place finished Go Ahead Eagles. So we're going to look at their results at first. Looking at the competition, Go Ahead Eagles actually finished in 3rd place. Now, I don't know how good they are in the Dutch Eredivisie, so I'm going to just take a sneak peek at their season preview. Go Ahead Eagles were expected to finish in 11th place. Ours were expected to finish in 4th. And for some reason, Go Ahead Eagles actually finished in 3rd, and then Go Ahead Eagles still finished in 4th. So Go Ahead Eagles actually had a better results, but I think that's also down to the player profiles. If Azad doesn't have the select group of players that can play on the flanks, they may not do as well as Go Ahead Eagles. But surprisingly, look at the results. Go Ahead Eagles actually won 22 games. They're not Man City, so they didn't win all 34 games. But they won 22 of those games and then they lost 9 times. They had a goal difference of 41. So let's see who had the most goals. Feyenoord, of course, they're one of the best teams. But Go Ahead Eagles were in there with 78, and RZ only scored 69 goals. So again, not as dominant as Manchester City, but they will do well in their respective divisions. Player overview: we can see that the most goals the most assists came from a Go Ahead Eagles player. Actually, 3 of them. Matt Deigil and over Oliver Evertson, then Dario, of course, having 12 assists in there. The most goals for Go Ahead Eagles was by 15, and then Bas Dost in NEC Nigerian actually had the most, but he wasn't really playing with the tactics. There's a lot of key passes coming in from Romans as well, so the tactic does go on to create chances. We'll look at No Highland next in the Danish Superliga, and looking at the competition, they're in the championship group. So apparently the group splits into two after a certain period in the league. And No Highland actually went on to finish in third place. So it's interesting. They were predicted to finish in third and they finished in third. So that's not bad. But where it differs is actually the stats. So let's look at their team stats and see how well they did. Most points per game was by Copenhagen. No Highland were in third place, 1.78. So it seems like there's a huge disparity between Copenhagen and everybody else, but that's fine. Most goals was by Randers. No Highland were in there with 60 goals. Most possession, No Highland were in second place with 55% possession. Best pass completion, they were again in second place. That's because Copenhagen is the best. They're actually the most dominant team in the Danish Super League. Most clean sheets, Copenhagen again, but they're not part of the test. No Highland were in there with 11 clean sheets. So that's quite... The least conceded, they conceded only 36, and then Copenhagen conceded 24 goals. Now moving over to RB Leipzig in Germany. Leipzig actually came in second place with a goal difference of 54. They were 1 point off Bayern from winning the league, so at some point could have been better and they could have actually won the league. Looking at Leipzig's performance, they actually beat Union Berlin 5-1. They beat Sporting Lisbon 4-0. They beat Braga by 4-1. They beat Braga again. They beat Cologne 5-1. So there's a lot of heavy scoring with this tactic. There's Werder Bremen as well. They beat Werder Bremen 4-1. They actually beat Bayern in the final of the DFB Pokal. They also won the Europa League against Liverpool, RB Leipzig. That's just insane. So the tactic actually did them a lot of good, I have to be honest with you. FC Cologne suffered a whole lot because I think they've beaten Cologne twice now, like 5-1. That's just insane. They beat Union Berlin. They beat Dortmund as well in the quarterfinal. They beat Hoffenheim 5-1. They did go on to lose some games to Heidenheim and of course Copenhagen that beat Eintracht Frankfurt by 6-1. This is just looking at the amount of goals that they scored in the league. RB Leipzig had the most goals with 85. Bayern did go on to win the league. They had the most points per game, 2.32, and Leipzig had 2.29. It could have been better. Most shots, Leipzig are in there. The fewest conceded, okay, Leipzig conceded a few more goals than Bayern Munich, so it's probably why they didn't end up winning the league. Most clean sheets, they didn't keep enough. It's probably why they didn't go on to win the league. If they did, they could have actually won the league. They had 11. For them, they actually had the best results in this particular test. I think they're one of the top teams as well. They've won the DFB Pokal. They were runner-up in the German Super Cup, and then they also won the Europa League, which is really, really stunning, I have to admit. So that's the result for these teams. Remember, I'm going to attach a link in the description so you can download the tactic. But if you did follow along with the video, you've probably already recreated the tactic for yourself, and that's good. Good luck with managing the tactic. Remember, you can shift it to attack and try and score a lot more goals, or use positive if you're trying to create a lot more chances, but also be cautious of your defense. So that's what positive actually helps you do. That's it for today's video. I'm going to be back with more tactic videos like this. I noticed that I haven't been sharing a lot of tactics, so I'm going to try my best to share a lot more tactic videos. Do well to subscribe to the channel so you can get notified when those videos do come up. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.